I used to think I needed to earn it, that maybe, if I prayed enough, fasted enough, believed hard enough, one day, I'd be worthy of the promises of God, the ones about peace, provision, restoration. But no matter how many sermons I listened to, how many affirmations I spoke, or how many tears I cried at the altar, something stayed locked inside me. I still felt like I was striving, still waiting, still trying to prove I was enough, until one day, I sat in complete silence, Bible in one hand, journal in the other, and asked God a simple question: what really changed at the cross? And the answer didn't come as words. It came as a wave of truth, so alive, it shattered the illusion I had lived under for years, that God's promises were somewhere in the distance, waiting on me to become ready. No, they were already mine, already finished, already waiting on me, not to hustle or perform, but to receive. That was the moment everything shifted. Because when Jesus said, "It is finished," he wasn't just talking about sin. He was talking about separation, about struggle, about delay. The veil tore, the old contract ended, and a new reality was born, one where grace became the governing law, and inheritance was accessed not through effort, but alignment. So in this video, I want to take you on a sacred journey, a journey that will challenge everything religion may have taught you about waiting, suffering, and striving, and reveal how to activate God's promises now through a deeper understanding of faith and attraction. This is not about manifesting from ego. It's about returning to your divine identity, the one that was purchased in full at the cross, ready for me to begin. It wasn't just a crucifixion, it was a transaction, a moment in time where the seen collided with the unseen, where the eternal interrupted the temporal, and the greatest spiritual law ever written was fulfilled in blood, breath, and silence. Most people see the cross as the place where sins were forgiven, and yes, that's true, but it was more than forgiveness. It was an exchange, a divine trade. He took everything that was ours, guilt, shame, lack, fear, separation, and gave us everything that was his: peace, righteousness, authority, wholeness, access. This is the principle of substitution, but it's also the foundation of spiritual law. What you embody becomes your reality. Jesus didn't just die for you, he died as you, and when he rose, he didn't rise alone. You were raised with him into a new vibrational identity, one that carries the full backing of heaven. But here's the problem. Most believers still live like they're on the wrong side of the veil, still begging for promises they already possess, still praying like outsiders instead of partners, still thinking attraction is new age instead of ancient, rooted in the very way God created the world, through spoken vibration and energetic embodiment. When Genesis says, "Let there be light," that wasn't a metaphor. That was frequency, spoken intention becoming physical form. And when the New Testament calls us co-eds with Christ, it's not poetic, it's literal. The cross was the reset point, the moment your old self died and your true identity was released. But unless you align with that truth, you'll keep living in the vibration of who you were, not who you are now. So let me ask you, are you still trying to earn what's already yours? Are you praying for healing, but still embodying brokenness? Are you asking for provision while expecting lack? If so, this is your wake-up call. Because here's the law: you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are, and what you are changed forever at the cross. When Jesus said, "It is finished," it wasn't just the end of a mission, it was the beginning of a kingdom, a vibrational kingdom, one where the frequency of faith activates the flow of fulfillment. So if you've been feeling stuck, if you've been asking and not receiving, it's time to stop looking out there and start looking within, because the promises of God don't respond to desperation, they respond to resonance. This is why attraction is not in conflict with faith, it's the expression of it. Faith is alignment, faith is agreement. Faith is the inner yes that allows the outer to match. Let's get clear. You were not saved to survive. You were not redeemed to remain in lack. You were restored to reign, not by control, but by connection. Not through striving, but through surrender. When you understand this, your prayers change, your posture shifts, your presence becomes magnetic. Because the cross didn't just remove your sin, it transferred your status, from orphan to heir, from seeker to son, from beggar to beloved. And when you walk in that vibration, doors open that no man can shut. But it all begins with one sacred choice: to accept the exchange, to stop identifying with the problem and start embodying the promise, to no longer see yourself through the lens of the old, but to fully receive what was purchased for you in full. Are you tired of attracting the wrong people and ending up in frustrating relationships? The truth is, the love you receive reflects the energy you radiate. If you want to build deeper, healthier, and more abundant connections, you need to shift your energy. In my ebook, The Law of Attraction in Relationships, I'll show you how to transform your energy and attract the kind of love you truly deserve. Stop repeating the same mistakes. Start your transformation now. Click the link pinned in the first comment and dive in. Imagine this. You've been released from prison. The door is open. The chains are gone. But instead of walking out, you sit on the cold floor, head down, whispering, "But I'm still guilty." This is how most people live after the cross. They know, intellectually, that Jesus died for them. They know he forgave them, covered them, made a way. But deep inside, they're still embodying who they were before that moment. They're still carrying shame as if it belongs, still speaking lack as if it's their language, still seeing themselves as sinners instead of sons. That's the misalignment. Because the cross didn't just pay your debt, it swapped your identity. This is the law of substitution. In biblical terms, he became sin so that we might become the righteousness of God. In vibrational terms, he embodied your lowest frequency so you could embody his highest. That's not poetic, it's energetic law. You are not who you were, and the more you cling to that old identity, the more resistance you create in your field, because you're trying to receive promises meant for a frequency you refuse to embody. This is where so many spiritual people get stuck. They do the affirmations, they make the vision boards, they pray and fast and hope. But on a core identity level, they're still walking around as their before self, still rehearsing the pain, still reliving the trauma, still holding on to the guilt of what they did or didn't do. But here's the divine truth. Jesus didn't die to modify your behavior. He died to transform your being. You don't need to upgrade your old self. You need to release it. If you are still identifying as not enough, the universe, by spiritual law, must continue reflecting that vibration. Why? Because energy doesn't lie. You can say, "I am worthy," but if you feel unworthy, that's what's vibrating. You can declare abundance, but if you expect lack, that's what you align with. This is why the law of attraction, without identity transformation, leads to frustration. It becomes performance instead of partnership. But when you fully embrace the substitution, when you realize he became you so you could become him, everything shifts. You stop chasing, you stop doubting, you stop apologizing for being chosen, and instead, you start walking with authority. You start declaring from truth. You start receiving from alignment. Let's be honest, it's not easy to let go of who you used to be. There's comfort in familiarity, even if it's painful. There's identity in struggle, even if it costs you your peace. But the moment you decide to let it go, not mentally, but vibrationally, you open the door to miracles. You become a vessel for divine inheritance. You shift from asking how long to saying thank you, it is done. Because you realize you are not waiting on God. God is waiting on you to agree with what he already did. So here's your practice. Every time an old belief rises, "I'm not enough. It won't happen for me. I always get overlooked." You say, that is not me anymore. You replace it with truth, not fantasy, but divine identity. I am the righteousness of God. I am seated in heavenly places. I am a joint heir with Christ. I carry the vibration of wholeness, favor, and abundance, not because you earned it, but because He gave it. And every time you speak that truth, every time you feel it in your body, every time you stand in that vibration, instead of collapsing back into your history, you activate the law that says, as He is, so are we in this world. Not when you're perfect, not when you've prayed long enough. Now, because the cross was not a temporary fix, it was a cosmic transfer. The question is no longer, will God bless me? The real question is, can you handle the blessing your new identity already attracts? That's the vibration that changes everything. Ready for me to continue? Let's start with a hard truth. Most people aren't walking in faith. They're walking in hope, wrapped in fear. They're hoping God will come through, but bracing themselves in case He doesn't. They're saying the right words, but deep inside, there's tension, uncertainty. They're asking in prayer, but doubting in vibration. And that's not judgment, that's awareness. Because what you call faith, the universe reads as energy. And energy doesn't respond to language, it responds to frequency. That's why in Hebrews, faith isn't described as an idea or an emotion, it's described as a substance. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, not just a belief, a tangible, energetic state, one that creates evidence. So let me ask you, when you pray, do you feel the reality of the answer within you? Or do you leave that prayer still feeling anxious, doubtful, heavy? Because if faith is a vibrational state, a resonance with the unseen, then anything less than full embodiment is a disconnection. You can say God will provide, but if your nervous system is still in survival mode, you're not in faith, you're in fearful wishing. This is where the law of attraction and biblical faith intersect. You don't manifest from the mind, you manifest from the body, from the feeling, from the state. God isn't withholding His promises to test you. He's already finished them, wrapped them, sealed them, and placed them in your spiritual field. But to receive them, you have to become energetically compatible. Faith isn't about working harder. It's about feeling the fulfillment before it arrives. That's not delusion. That's spiritual law. Think about Jesus. He never begged. He never panicked. He never hoped. He knew. He walked in total alignment, not because He was trying to convince God, but because He was one with the source of all. And you were created to walk the same way, to stand in the vibration of what's already yours, to feel abundance in your bones before the money shows up, to feel love in your heart before the partner arrives, to feel healing in your body before the symptoms disappear. That's faith, not as performance, but as frequency. Now, let's make this practical. Next time you're praying, visualizing, or affirming, pause. Ask yourself, what am I actually feeling right now? Do I trust that this is already done? Is my energy open to receive, or clenched in worry? If the answer reveals tension, don't force it. Just breathe, recenter, and speak truth to your nervous system. It is finished. I receive what's already mine. I align with the vibration of God's promise. The more you practice this, the more your energy becomes a landing place for miracles, not as a reward, but as a resonance. Because the universe isn't responding to your words, it's responding to your alignment. This is also why many people manifest the opposite of what they ask for, because they're focused on the lack of it, not the presence of it. They pray for healing while obsessing over symptoms. They ask for financial breakthrough while vibrating in panic. They declare love while feeling deeply unlovable. But you cannot attract what you don't feel worthy of, and you cannot feel worthy while vibrating in fear. So how do you shift? You practice presence. You practice surrender. You practice faith as a felt frequency, not a mental statement. And from that place, you start walking like it's already yours. Because in the quantum field, it is. Are you tired of attracting the wrong people and ending up in frustrating relationships? The truth is, the love you receive reflects the energy you radiate. If you want to build deeper, healthier, and more abundant connections, you need to shift your energy. In my ebook, The Law of Attraction in Relationships, I'll show you how to transform your energy and attract the kind of love you truly deserve. Stop repeating the same mistakes. Start your transformation now. Click the link pinned in the first comment and dive in. Shall we keep going? Let's tell the truth. Waiting is a habit most of us were taught in the name of humility. We were told to wait on God. Wait for the right time. Wait until we're ready. Wait until we've done enough to deserve the breakthrough. But what if I told you that waiting in the energetic realm is a form of resistance? What if the longer you delay your receiving, the more you reinforce the vibration that says, I'm not there yet? Because here's what we often forget. God is not bound by time. His promises don't have expiration dates, but they also don't need delay. You're not waiting on heaven. Heaven is waiting on you to say yes, not just with your lips, but with your life. Let's go back to what Jesus said. It is finished, not it will be, not when they're ready, finished. So if it's finished, why are we still striving? Why are we still praying like beggars, fasting like slaves, and living like orphans? Because we've confused delay with devotion, and in doing so, we've made waiting our comfort zone. Instead of walking in the inheritance that's already been wired into our spirit. Listen closely. The promise is now. Not when you get a better job, not when your healing manifests, not when you finally feel spiritual enough. The promise is available in this breath, in this moment, in this vibration, if you're aligned to receive it. Here's the principle. What you delay, you disconnect from. The longer you postpone your worthiness, the longer you block your blessings, because the subconscious mind, the spiritual bridge between belief and manifestation, takes everything literally. If you say, one day I'll be healed, it says, got it. Healing is far away. If you say, someday I'll find love, it says, understood, not yet. But when you shift your words to match the frequency of now, your reality starts rearranging. You begin to align with the fulfilled promise, not the pending one. Let me show you what that sounds like. I am healed, and my body is catching up to the truth. I am loved, and I magnetize love effortlessly. I am abundant, and wealth flows to me in divine timing. Not because you're faking it, but because you're finally tuning into the station God has been broadcasting all along. This is not name it and claim it. This is embody it and allow it. You're not making things happen, you're letting them happen, by becoming the vessel that matches what's already done. So, how do you stop waiting and start receiving? Start living like it's already yours, not recklessly, but intentionally. Make decisions from your desired vibration, not your current limitation. Pray from victory, not for it. Stop asking God to do what He's already done. Start thanking Him from the vibration of it is finished. Release the need to control the timing. Waiting often masks control. Surrender opens the door to flow. Embody the end result. Feel it, walk in it, speak from it, and let your subconscious lock into it as your new normal. Because when you stop aligning with not yet, you start receiving from the vibration of now. It's not about forcing. It's not about pretending. It's about remembering. Remembering who you are, what was purchased for you, and the truth that has always been echoing through the spirit realm. The veil is torn. The separation is over. You are already inside the promise. Now walk like it. Shall we continue? Your body is not just flesh. It's not just a container for your spirit. It is a temple, a living, breathing vessel designed to carry the frequency of the divine. You were never meant to just talk about God's promises. You were designed to embody them, to feel peace, not just preach it, to radiate abundance, not just study it, to become a resting place for glory, not in theory, but in reality. But here's the tension. You cannot manifest what your vessel cannot hold. This is why alignment matters, not just in your beliefs, but in your body, your thoughts, your speech, your nervous system, because every part of you is either reinforcing the vibration of fulfillment or blocking it with unconscious resistance. Let me ask you something deep. What's your body rehearsing? When you think about money, does your stomach tighten? When you imagine love, does your chest close? When you pray for healing, does your breath shallow? These are not random reactions. They are energetic signatures, proof of the beliefs you're still embodying, even when your mouth says otherwise. And here's the spiritual law. The vessel must be congruent with the vision. If you're asking for overflow, but vibrating in fear, if you're declaring favor, but expecting rejection, if you're speaking healing, but walking in defeat, the universe can't override the signal your vessel is sending. That's not punishment. That's precision. Because manifestation isn't about worthiness. It's about readiness. And readiness means resonance. So how do you become an aligned vessel? Let's walk through it. 1. Cleanse the temple. Release old frequencies. Just like the temple in Jerusalem had to be purified. You must release the emotional clutter that clogs your channel. That means forgiving. Letting go of what you no longer need to protect. Detaching from identities built on survival. Emotional release isn't weakness. It's sacred maintenance. 2. Sanctify your speech. Align your words. Florence Scovel Shinn said it best. Your word is your wand. What you say casts a vibrational spell. Stop speaking, delay. Stop narrating your limitations. Start declaring from your identity in Christ. My body is a vessel of divine health. My life is a reflection of God's abundance. Everything that belongs to me comes easily and on time. Not because you're trying to convince God, but because you're calibrating your vibration to what is already finished. 3. Program the temple. Align the subconscious. Your conscious mind is the sewer, but the subconscious is the soil. If you plant seeds of abundance while your subconscious believes in lack, you'll choke the harvest before it takes root. That's why meditation, visualization, and repetition are not optional. They're tools of spiritual law. They don't make the promise true. They make you available to receive it. Practice entering the feeling state of your answered prayer daily. Feel it, see it, speak it, become it. Let's make this real. Imagine you're asking God for financial overflow. You've tithed, you've affirmed, you've prayed, but every time the bill comes, panic rises. What do you think that vibration is attracting? More overflow or more anxiety? Your vessel, not your words, tells the truth. So your job is not to fake calm. Your job is to become calm, to anchor your nervous system in the vibration of trust, to train your body to rest in the reality of it is done. That's the aligned vessel. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out, but you do have to agree. Agree with the finished work. Agree with the frequency of favor. Agree with the truth that says, you are not trying to become a temple. You already are. The only question is, what are you housing? Is it fear, or faith, lack, or overflow, history, or destiny? Because the promise is waiting on one thing, a vessel that can hold it. And that vessel is you. You've prayed, you've declared, you've visualized, surrendered, affirmed, and maybe, for the first time, you've realized, you're not waiting anymore. You're already in it. The promise, the provision, the presence. Now comes the final step of alignment, and it's the one most people overlook. Living as if it's done, walking in the vibration of overflow, not just receiving a blessing, becoming one, because you weren't created just to get the promise. You were created to carry it and reflect it back into the world. You are the evidence of God's goodness. You are the answered prayer someone else is hoping for. You are the overflow that blesses others, not by striving, but by being. But let's be honest, living from fulfillment in a world addicted to lack isn't easy. The culture says, more, more, more. Religion says, wait, suffer, earn. Your past says, don't trust it, it'll disappear. But your spirit says, this is who I am now, this is how I live now, this is the vibration I choose, again and again. And that's the key to overflow, not a one-time breakthrough, not a weekend high, but a daily choice to remain in resonance with the fulfilled promise. Here's what that looks like. 1. Overflow in thought. You no longer think from problems, you think from provision. You wake up expecting miracles. You plan like the resources are already here. You dream like there are no limits, because your inner reality becomes the script your outer world follows. 2. Overflow in emotion. You feel peace as your baseline, not your reward. You let joy be the default, not the exception. You give thanks in advance, not to manipulate God, but because you're already in possession. Gratitude is no longer a strategy, it's your state. 3. Overflow in action. You give freely, not to get, but because you have. You speak boldly, not to convince, but to confirm. You move like someone who already knows how the story ends. You stop holding back, playing small, or waiting for permission. You create, you love, you invest, you show up. Because overflow isn't just what comes to you, it's what flows through you. Let's flip the script for a moment. What if your life was the divine strategy? What if your healing was someone else's awakening? What if your abundance was someone else's breakthrough? This is the truth of overflow. It multiplies, it moves, it transforms atmospheres, not because you're special, but because you're aligned. Because you finally let the cross do what it was always meant to do, transform you from seeker to sanctuary. So how do you stay in this vibration? You guard your alignment like it's sacred, because it is. You stop entertaining stories that lower your frequency. You stop explaining your expansion to people committed to contraction. You stop giving energy to anything that doesn't mirror who you've become. Overflow doesn't need explanation. It needs permission. Permission to stay. Permission to expand. Permission to bless everyone around you, not as a performance, but as a byproduct of who you are. This is the life you were designed for. A life where you no longer ask if you're worthy. A life where you no longer beg for what's yours. A life where the vibration of God's favor flows through every word, every step, every cell of your being. This is not hype. This is spiritual law. And when you live from the fulfilled promise, you stop looking for signs. You start becoming one, because everything changed at the cross, and now everything flows from you. Want me to continue? Take a deep breath, not just with your lungs, with your spirit, because what you just walked through wasn't just a teaching, it was a transfer. A reminder that everything you've been searching for, the peace, the provision, the power, has never been out there. It's always been inside you, waiting, dormant, sacred, activated the moment you stopped striving and started receiving. Because everything changed at the cross. Not just your salvation, but your identity. Not just your future, but your now. Not just your record, but your resonance. And now you know, you don't have to beg for blessings. You don't have to chase what's already finished. You don't have to earn what Jesus already gave. Your only job is to agree, to let your thoughts, your emotions, your posture, your presence mirror the truth of the promise already fulfilled. And from that place of divine alignment, miracles stop being rare, breakthrough stops being a struggle, and overflow becomes your natural state. Because the law is simple. What you align with, you attract. What you embody, you experience. So today, I invite you to make a decision, not just to believe this truth, but to live it. To wake up tomorrow not as who you were, but as who the cross already declared you to be, an heir, a vessel, a mirror of God's goodness. And if this message stirred something in you, if it felt like truth your soul already knew, then you're ready for the next step. In the next video, we're going to explore what it really means to walk in divine authority, how to stop reacting to life, and start governing it spiritually, emotionally, and vibrationally. because you weren't just saved to survive. You were chosen to reign.